really was like the fucking House of Cards.
Yep, there's a book called Partners in Power, which details it all. And that, again, is testimonies from Arkansas State Police protecting the Clintons, prosecutors who were trying to prosecute drug deals, who ended up death threatened. All kinds of crazy stuff went on. The prosecutor that pretended to help Linda Ives, that was coming in as the savior to get her justice, was later sent to prison for running a drug ring.
Wow.
I think his name was Dan Harmon. I'm getting confused. There's two Dans in my book. There's Dan Harmon and there's Dan Lasseter. One was the finance guy who was laundering the cocaine money for Clinton.
Okay.
And contributing to him. And if you wanted to launder your money, if you wanted to be part of that, they were doing loans through Arkansas Development Finance Authority. This is the scam they set up. According to Larry Nichols, who worked for them, another insider, 100 million a month was getting laundered through ADFA. And to get a loan from ADFA that you never had to repay back, you had to submit your application with a check for 5 or 10 grand or whatever to Rose Law Firm, where Hillary Clinton was at.
Wow, man.
Don't forget, Hillary Clinton was the person who got a paedophile off, who'd done so much damage to his victim, and she was cackling about it afterwards when she was a lawyer.
Weren't there people who there was autopsy reports of people with like multiple shotgun wounds to their chest?
Oh God,
that was labeled as suicide.
Yeah, the medical examiner who said the boys had laid side by side on the tracks. There was people being decapitated and things, and they said it was stomach ulcers. People with hundreds of stab wounds, and they say just whatever.
And there was a term developed for this kind of this type of Arkansas.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
An Arkansas suicide, aka a Clinton murder.
All the way from the boys on the tracks to Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay, now let's go back to this guy Barry Seal.
Yeah.
So he was literally flying this cocaine back to the U.S.
I never answered your question. Who killed him? That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Barry Seal is flying the cocaine in, and the weapons out to Nicaragua. He's doing all kinds of shady transactions on the side, and he gets in trouble with the DEA. So what you're seeing here is a pattern, whether it's Epstein, whether it's Ghislaine Maxwell, whether it's Robert Maxwell, of people working with the intelligence agency, but getting in so much trouble, they cross a line whereby they become a liability. That's exactly what happens with Barry Seal. He gets in trouble with the DEA. He knows all this stuff about the cocaine shipments. Too much information. He's a liability. As he gets in more trouble with the DEA, he starts sweating George H.W. Bush to help him to get out of the situation. George H.W. Bush does not help him. What happens is a federal judge on his case with the DEA orders Barry Seal that he's no longer able to carry a gun, orders Barry Seal that he's no longer able to have armed bodyguards, orders Barry Seal to live in a halfway house with a fixed address. Now, Barry Seal, during his work for the DEA to try and get himself out of trouble, had snitched on Escobar, and Escobar had a contract out on him. But they couldn't catch him. Barry Seal said, I could see a Colombian a mile away in Louisiana. So the federal government knew, Bush knew, take away his guns, take away his armed bodyguards, put him at a fixed address. The Medellin cartel are going to wipe him out like that. And that's exactly what happened. So who killed him? Who killed him? Both.
Wow.
Bush took away his protection and made him vulnerable. And the hitmen came in. And oddly enough, I just interviewed a couple of days ago. I think you interviewed him as well, I think.
Jorge Valdez.
Yeah. And he talks about this because he met one of the shooters, didn't he, of Barry Seal? He met the hitman.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh my
He met him in
gosh.
prison. Yeah, yeah. And that's what I believe went down. That's what Barry Seal's son believes went down. He gave me a quote for the book. He said, "It's it's the only one who's put the truth out there." And the other question, oh, I forgot. Barry
Pablo.
Barry Seal was found dead, and there was a phone number on him, and that was the line. The phone number for George H.W. Bush was found on him when he died.
What?
Yeah, and of course the feds come in and just take all the evidence right away. Yeah.
And how are you able to uncover this?
Because it's just been thoroughly documented by everybody involved in the case. Terry Reid, credit to him, his book Compromised. Now
Okay.
Terry Reid was a straight shooter,
Mm-hmm.
and Barry knew he was a straight shooter, and he did not tell him that there was cocaine coming back. He just told him, patriotism, communism, fighting this war, Nicaragua, the guy with the weapons. Terry Reid had no idea. Now, Barry Seal's dream was to have a CIA sponsored airline like Southern Air Transport, but do it over Mexico.
Mm.
And the CIA proceeded to set that up with Terry Reid. But when Terry Reid learned about the drug shipments, he blew the whistle, and then he had to go on the run. They criminalized him. They tried to kill him, and it's all detailed in his book Compromised. I urge people to go and read it. And these are
Wow.
insiders. These are insiders. They're not conspiracy theorists. Just putting
Right.
this out there. Yeah.
Right.
So all right. So Escobar then. Colombia has a cartel boss in each area. So you got, Rodriguez Gacha is the boss of the Bogota region. You've got the Orjuela brothers, Gilberto and Miguel, the Cali cartel, bosses of Cali. You
Mm-hmm.
got Pablo, the boss of Medellin. You got the Castaño brothers, who are some of Pablo's guys who were instrumental in his death. You got all these big traffickers across the country. That's the point that I'm saying.
The kingpins.
The kingpins, yeah. The US come along, and because of drug laws, cocaine's going for what, 60 grand a kilo in the 1970s,
Mm-hmm.
coming down slowly into the 80s. Pablo can source coca paste for $60 a kilo out of Peru and Bolivia in the beginning. So because of drug laws, the profit margin is astronomical. It doesn't matter who gets arrested, the cocaine will always flow. Now, when there's something so profitable in the world as drugs, if you're the most powerful country in the world, you're going to want to lock that down. And
Mm.
that's what the CIA did. They said, look, here's our justification. If the communists are running this and they arm themselves with this drug money, they're going to be knocking on America's door. It's domino theory. All these countries in Central and South America fall, Mexico falls. Next thing, they're going to be knocking on our door. So we got to control this situation. But at the same time, while they're profiting from it, they're fighting a war. The US federal government is fighting a war on drugs. So the CIA has got the highest level of security power and clearance. They're in charge of running the drugs. The DEA, another arm of the US federal government, is
Mm-hmm.
fighting the war on drugs. But by fighting the war on drugs, you choose who you can arrest and you choose who you can allow to deal. It's the ultimate way to control the drugs market. And George H.W. Bush at a dinner was bragging, when asked about this, was bragging. It's beyond the public conception that people running the drugs, people fighting the war on drugs, could be running the drugs. It's so beyond the public's. That's how he got away with it. He said it's because it's so beyond what the public's minds will accept. The arrogance of these fucking psychopaths.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're fighting the war on drugs, what do you need? A boogeyman.
A bad guy.
Pablo Escobar was the boogeyman. And all of the figures, yeah, the Medellin cartel were doing a lot. But all the figures that the US prosecutors say are embellished and exaggerated. And
Mm.
was it Barron said he was the richest guy in the world all those years in a row? Well, Juan Pablo Escobar said Barron's never came out and audited our finances. How do they make these things up? They make them up at the clear blue sky. The
Right.
term the Medellin cartel was made up by US federal prosecutors to
Right.
give them more power, make these prosecutions more easily, and give them longer sentences. It's all a construct of the war on drugs. So you arrest Pablo. Such a victory. We're going to pose now with kilos of cocaine. That's what George H.W. posing with kilos of cocaine. Going to get more votes. All about the votes.